Hi friends, it's Miss Rachel from Snap Ed, and I'm here to do our Pick a Better Snack and Act lesson. So for this month, we are actually featuring a vegetable, and it is in the way of beans. Now, mind you, there are tons of different kinds of beans. In fact, I actually had these in my cupboard. And just in this one bag, there are 15 types of beans. Now these beans, you can see a little bit through the package, there are all different shapes and sizes and colors. And these type of beans I would make to make the recipe on the package, which is a 15 bean soup. And it's one of my favorite things to eat, especially when it's cold outside. But for this month, we're gonna focus on just one type of bean, and it's actually what we call a garbanzo bean or a chickpea. And this is what they look like, okay? So chickpeas, they grow on like a viney plant, okay, and these plants get little white or pink flowers. So when the flowers fall off of the little viney plants, they actually grow into these little tiny fuzzy pods, and in each pod there are a couple of different peas in the pod. So the peas or the beans that are in these pods, they're just like any seed really. If you let them kind of dry out and rest for a while, you'll actually be able to most likely get them to sprout if you give them a little bit of water and then put them in some soil. So when we eat garbanzo beans or chickpeas, we actually eat them like a vegetable, and they're really, really good for us because when we think about them in terms of my plate, even though they are a vegetable, they also give us a lot of protein. Okay, and protein helps our muscles grow big and strong and stay strong as we grow. And they also give us a lot of fiber. Fiber is the thing that helps our digestion when we are getting our food to go through our bodies. And fiber also helps our bellies stay fuller longer. So some really good things to think about when you're having chickpeas or garbanzo beans. So one of my favorite storybooks actually shows us how we can take a bean and plant it and grow a plant that would actually make even more beans. Okay, and this story is actually by Rachael, and the pictures are by Megan Hasley, and it's called One Bean. Okay, and I'll show you a little bit more about what it looks like inside. So in the story called One Bean, the little boy takes his one bean that is hard and dry and smooth, and he puts it on a wet paper towel and then covers it with another paper towel until it gets all wrinkly and the skin starts to split open, and then he knows it's ready to plant. He puts the bean in a cup with some potting soil, and he waters it every day when the soil gets dry, and then he has to wait until the bean sprouts. After just a little while, the bean plant pokes up through the soil and it starts to form some heart-shaped leaves. It gets more and more leaves as the day passes, and then he finds that it's starting to outgrow its little cup. He gently takes the bean plant and he puts it in a bigger pot where it has more room to live and grow. After a while, the bean plant actually gets little buds on it, and the buds burst open and they're little white flowers. When the flowers die and fall off, little bean sprouts actually grow in their place, and over time they get bigger and they're able to pick some, and they split them open, and there are beans inside, just like the one bean that had started it all. They pick the beans and they give them a try, and they are very, very good. And that's how you take one bean and you grow a bunch more. Very cool. I hope you like that. So one of my favorite ways to eat chickpeas or garbanzo beans is actually as hummus. Okay, and I was getting ready to make myself a really tasty hummus wrap with some lettuce and some carrot and some peppers and some cucumbers and a little bit of cheese. Okay, and a lot of times you can just buy hummus at the store, but then I realized I am almost out of hummus. So I'm actually really lucky because I have a can of chickpeas and I can make my own hummus. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can do that. Okay, so to make the hummus, you need 1 clove of garlic. So I have a little clove that I took the peel off. Okay, and that's just gonna go right in the blender. You don't have to cut it up or anything. If you don't have garlic like this, you could use garlic powder if you needed to. And then I have a lemon that I'm gonna take the juice out of in just a few minutes. Okay, and then I have a 1/2 cup of warm water, and I actually added a little bit more warm water because the recipe also says to use 2 tablespoons of low-fat plain yogurt, and I don't have any. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little extra water instead. Okay, and then it has salt and pepper, so a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and then 2 tablespoons of canola oil. If you don't have canola oil, you can use other oil and that'll be fine. Okay, and I'm gonna mix it all together in my blender. You don't need a fancy blender for this. You can just use a really a regular blender, but it does work a lot better if you do have a blender. So I drained and I rinsed off my chickpeas and I put them in the blender already. And then I'm going to add in my other ingredients. Just like that. Okay, and then to get all the juice out of my lemon, one thing I love to do is I roll it on the board. So I just kind of press on it and I roll it out as best as I can to help it get the juice kind of all loosened up in there. And then I cut it in half. And I'm actually going to squeeze it over my cup. That way if any seeds pop out, I don't have to worry about the seeds getting into my hummus. So just give it a good squeeze. One more good squeeze. Okay. And if you do get any seeds, you can just take a spoon and fish them out of the juice. I got 2. And then I'm just going to add that right in. Okay. Got my cover on, and now it's time to blend. Okay, so I got my hummus all blended up in the blender. It only took a minute or so. It was pretty noisy, so I turned off the camera so that you wouldn't hear all the noise. Okay, but this is what it looks like when it's done. You can see that it's nice and smooth and creamy. Okay, and I'm gonna add this to my wrap. Okay, but you could also eat it with things like crackers, or I have some little pepper strips that I have for my wrap. So you could just eat it with vegetable sticks. It is delicious. I actually like when I make it at home even more so than if I buy it at the store. I just feel like it has a lot more flavor to it, and I can control the texture on it, and I can add things to it that I might want in it. Like if I wanted red peppers or extra spices or less pepper, I can do whatever I want to it. And it is so yummy. So I'm gonna add that to my little wrap. I have my little plate of veggies here. I'm just gonna do a nice spoonful. Spread it all around. And then sprinkle all my veggies on. I didn't have any big wraps, so I might have to make two since they're small. And I got my little wrap with my hummus. And that is going to be a delicious lunch. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get a chance to try some chickpeas. You don't have to eat them in hummus. You can also add them to things like soups and salads, but just give it a try and see if you like it. All right, and I hope to see you next month. We'll be going back to featuring a fruit next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.